AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, presented by Goodwood, Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You so. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. We'll skip hump day. We got a lot to do because LSU picked up 2 commitments here on Wednesday. So I want to dive right into this, but it is a hump day. So Lane Kiffin continues his absolute heater on the recruiting trail. It's kind of wild when you think about it. Just 2 weeks ago, LSU had 4 commitments. 4 commitments in the class of 2027. They're up to 13. They've more than tripled their class in 2 weeks. So June has been super productive for LSU. On Monday, 2 offensive linemen. On Tuesday, it was running back Trey Martin. And now 2 more players here on Wednesday. Running back Trey Martin from Franklin Parish up in Winsboro. And the second elite edge rusher in the class in Chris Whitehead popping just about an hour ago or so. So let's take these one at a time. I want to start with Trey Martin because that's going to dovetail into something we've been talking about here for about a week. Brendan Lacey, 3-star, committed after his visit a couple of weeks ago. A day ago, Trey Martin committed to LSU, top 150 prospect. And now Trey Martin has popped for LSU. I want to remind you that on Tuesday, here on the show, Shea Dixon from On 3 The Bengal Tiger was with us. And this is something he's talked about for a couple of weeks, but it was LSU's idea of taking 3 high school running backs in this class.
From speaking with the kids who are involved right now and those around them, they're being told by Kevin Smith, by Billy Glasscock, by Lane Kiffin, that there's a number that they want in the room next year. Now, whether that's made up of high school guys, if you sign 3 this cycle, or if it's made up of a blend, they want to get there. Well, they have a deep room right now, but I don't know what the future holds for those guys after that first wave. And I think in LSU's mind, hey, if we can find 3 guys at the high school level that we really like that each complement each other, let's be up front with them and say, hey, we're going to go this route. And if I'm these guys, I don't think I'm as quickly turned off by, 3 running backs in one class. Why would they do that? Well, it's just how you have to fill out a room. And in the era of high school and the portal, I'm a high school prospect. I kind of like knowing what I'm getting into more than leaving it up to Lane and whatever he wants to do in the portal.
I think it's so obvious that in this case, actions speak louder than words. LSU returned Harlem Berry. They paid him a high 6-figure number to come back this year. Caden Durham went in the portal. They convinced him to come back. They went and added 4 running backs via the portal. This staff, Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weiss, Kevin Smith, got to look at all of those guys over 15 practices in spring and went, Barry's pretty explosive. Dylan Jones is complete. Everybody else, giant question. They're not, I'll repeat this, they're not carrying 9 scholarship running backs in 2027. So you're adding 3 in this high school class. It's a safe assumption that in 27, you'll want Harlem Berry back, you'll want Dylan Jones back. Everybody else is a giant question mark. And at least 3 of those guys aren't coming back because the 3 coming in are going to replace 3 that are going out. Who are they? I don't know. But I can look and certainly say Racine Guillory, Rod Gainey, Stacey Gage, the 3 transfers that came in that did not make an impact, or Caden Durham. Among that group, you're probably going to see 3 exit via the portal. It's a safe assumption after this season. But Trey Martin is a guy you'd love to have, man. Like, let's focus on that, okay? We focus and talk a lot about Louisiana kids staying home. Trey Martin's a guy from Winsboro, Franklin Parish, who all throughout this process was thought to be an Alabama lean. Jaden Miles from Catholic in Baton Rouge was thought to be LSU. Martin was thought to be Alabama. Well, things change. Alabama ended up getting a couple of commits. Martin sort of redirected. Jaden Miles commits to Florida State. Martin's path to LSU is very clear. But just like we talked about a day ago with Trey Segura, Trey Martin, you're talking about a top 200 prospect. The number 11 running back in the composite. He's a high 4-star. This is a guy who's not coming to LSU thinking, I'm going to sit 3 years and develop and wait my turn. Brennan Lacey, the 3-star, is that guy. Trey Martin is a guy who's going to expect to play when he gets to campus. So it's just very clear, man. You're going to return Harlan Berry very likely for his junior year in 2027. And you're bringing in 3 running backs. 2 that are elite guys, 1 that's a project guy. So Martin, Segura, you'd expect those 2 guys to compete for playing time immediately in 2027 as freshman running backs. Well, just a few hours after Trey Martin commits, Chris Whitehead pops for LSU. Now, Whitehead is another elite-level edge rusher prospect. If you look at the Rivals industry ranking or the 24/7, no matter which way you look at it, he's elite. The 24/7 composite ranks him as the number 31 prospect in the country, a 5-star, number 31 prospect, the 4th best edge rusher in the country. That's the 24/7 composite. The On3 composite ranks him as the number 53 prospect in America. So however you look at it, this is a 6'4.5", 230-pound elite long edge rusher who had offers from everybody. Now, I picked LSU over a smaller group of Ohio State, Virginia Tech, South Carolina. He's from Virginia, so some regional teams there. But he had offers from everybody. Bama, Auburn, Cal, Georgia, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Maryland, Miami, Michigan, NC State, Oklahoma, everybody. Everybody wanted him. One of those elite, long, freakish edge rushers. And what this continues to show us, as we've talked about over and over again, and you're seeing it, actions speak louder than words. You are seeing through their evidence what this staff is willing to commit resources to out of the high school ranks. And edge rusher is clearly one of those spots. Offensive line is not. They are not going to pay offensive linemen to come in as 18-year-olds and sit. Doesn't matter if you're a 5-star. They're looking for guys, if they're going to pay you, that are going to make an impact. So what are the positions that can make an impact as a freshman? Well, receivers, Easton Royal. Tight end, Ahmad Hudson, replacing Trey Green. Cornerback, if you needed one, but they'll have DJ Pickett and possibly PJ Woodland both back in 2027. Edge rusher. Defensive tackle. Think Deuce Gerald, Richard Anderson. Now, a year, Lamar, in this most recent cycle, Lamar Brown, Trenton Henderson, now KJ Green, Chris Whitehead. They're showing you their priority. If you're prioritizing positional value, where are they going to invest? Well, they went in the portal and paid for Prince Wilumon Mielen. They went in the portal and paid for Jordan Ross. In the freshman class, they paid for Lamar Brown. They paid for Trenton Henderson. Now they're paying for Chris Whitehead. They're paying for KJ Green. They want edge rushers. They want edge rushers. And as I understand it, the way this staff looks at it analytically is they value edge rushers over corners. Because if you can pressure a quarterback, he's in college, he's less likely to make an accurate throw. So you don't need necessarily the elite level corner if you can pressure the quarterback who's going to make an off-balance inaccurate throw. Doesn't mean you're not going to pay DJ Pickett. It just means you're not going to pay 5-star Josh Dobson, who might be your 4th or 5th best option. But you'll pay the edge rushers that are going to rotate, so you constantly have fresh elite guys at that position, and this is evidence of it. So they are building what is shaping up to be a terror off the edge. When you consider this year with Prince William-Monmielen, Jordan Ross, you've added Lamar Brown, Trenton Henderson, and even if both Ross and Monmielen leave after this season, you'll have back Lamar Brown, Trenton Henderson, Gabe Relaford coming off of injury, Chris Whitehead, KJ Green, both coming in 5 stars. Where are they consolidating their resources? It's pretty clear how much this staff puts a value on the edge rusher spot over pretty much any other spot defensively. Great to see Trey Martin, Chris Whitehead joining the LSU class of 2027. They're now up to 13 commits for 2027. Doesn't feel like they're done. All right, it's After Further Review. Show Up and Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer, your Fighting Tigers of LSU. Summer's here, y'all. Hanging out by the pool, heading to the beach, maybe dinner with the family, or hanging with your buddies at your favorite watering hole, or kicking back, cracking open a few ice-cold Bud Lights while watching the World Cup. Make sure you drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. By the way, you see all those, of course, Michelob Ultra is part of the Mockler family, the Anheuser-Busch family. That's the official beer of the World Cup. You see all the officially licensed World Cup logos all over the Mich Ultra cans and boxes and all that sort of stuff as well. Whatever you do, drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, it's After Further Review. Thanks for hanging out with us here on a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Man, we got a ton to do today, and glad that you're hanging out with us. We do have a lot of LSU football we'll dive into. LSU baseball landed another commit. Lane Kiffin was a guest on Tyrann Matthews' podcast. We'll dive into some of that conversation. Trey Segura set to join us in hour number 3. Ross Jackson next hour. So we are lock-loaded, chock-full with a ton to do, and glad you're hanging out with us here on a Hump Day edition of AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance. Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Love telling you about both amazing properties. Remember, Watermark Baton Rouge is Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. It's not my opinion. Best of 225 goes out every year. You all voted Watermark Baton Rouge as the best hotel in the best of 225. Watermark Baton Rouge. If you've never been, man, highly recommend going to check out Watermark Baton Rouge for any number of reasons. You want a little staycation this summer? Great. Pop into downtown Baton Rouge, spend a night or a couple of nights at Watermark Baton Rouge. Everything in downtown's walkable. The restaurants, the bars on 3rd Street, the historical sites, Capitol, Old State Capitol, the Kid, all of it. It's right there in downtown Baton Rouge. Maybe you just want to have dinner or a business lunch or Sunday brunch. The Gregory inside of Watermark Baton Rouge is always a great option, and always free valet parking when you eat at the Gregory. It's right there downtown at Watermark Baton Rouge.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Additions that we're signing: Jalen Moreno-Cropper, receiver. He was with the Cowboys. He was in the UFL. He played at Fresno State. Hunter Dekkers, quarterback, was in the UFL. Obviously, we had Hunter last year. And then Tanner Brown, kicker. He was in the UFL with the Kings. Played at Okie State, so we signed him. We had, and then obviously Cam Jordan.
How about that? 3 additions for Kellen Moore and the Saints to announce here on Wednesday, the second day of mandatory minicamp. It's interesting also, remember, today's the second day of mandatory minicamp. After mandatory minicamp, the Saints go on a hiatus until July when they're here for training camp. So you got about a month to sort of chillax. So interesting that this is the moment when they decide to do this. Just very quickly to run through those. Tanner Brown, the place kicker, was the UFL Special Teams Player of the Year. Now, I have a soft place in the subcockles of my heart for Charlie Smith, who came on AFR at the Super Bowl in Radio Row. Now, a year ago at Radio Row in New Orleans, Blake Groupie came on AFR. So maybe not a great omen if you're a kicker on AFR. Groupie comes on the show. As all we talk about AFR karma, Groupie came on the show, then got axed. Charlie Smith comes on the show. We're going to find out. I mean, might be Charlie cut me. We're going to find out. I mean, so Tanner Brown's coming in. Listen, that's life in the NFL. Mike D had a great line. He would say it all the time. Mike Detillier, who came on the show for every Thursday for a decade, so he decided to go get his own radio show and couldn't come on anymore. Mike D, quit your radio show and come back on with us. Do it for the kids, Mike. But Mike would say all the time, you're getting better, you're getting worse. You're never staying the same in the NFL. So you always have to be looking at options and opportunities to get better. And so you can like Charlie Smith, but here's the UFL Special Teams Player of the Year. What if Tanner Brown comes in and beats Charlie Smith for the job? If that's the case, great. You got better. Hunter Dekkers is interesting for one very obvious reason, of course. Hunter Dekkers was with the Saints a year ago, but he was a quarterback at Iowa State, if you don't recall, whose college career ended because he bet on sports. And so he was ineligible to continue his college career in the NCAA. Went and played JUCO or NAIA, whatever it was. And then had an opportunity as a free agent, signed with the Saints, was with the Saints for a part of last year. And now is back, very likely as nothing more than a camp arm. Remember, the Saints have added Zach Wilson. You've still got Spencer Rattler hanging around. So Dekkers is the fourth. He's a camp arm and likely nothing more than that, unless the Saints do manage to execute a trade for Spencer Rattler, which I don't know that necessarily really feels likely in any way. They like Spencer Rattler, and is a guy who seems like he's going to stick around in New Orleans, at least for the immediate short term, unless someone's willing to give up an asset for him. Maybe an injury or something in camp could force their hand there. And then wide receiver Jalen Moreno-Cropper is the other. He played for Houston during the UFL season this past year. So, and also played in 3 games for the Dallas Cowboys a season ago. So some depth at wide receiver and some competition. So just a few to watch and worth keeping an eye on. And also worth mentioning at place kicker. Remember, the Saints added Mason Shipley as a UDFA. And Mason Shipley came on AFR after he signed with New Orleans. That's another guy who they're bringing in for competition. So as good a story as Charlie Smith is, strong-legged and his first game, you hit wasn't against Carolina, a big-time kick, game winner against Carolina. He's 24 years old, as optimistic as we are, as good a story as he is. Saints are looking for opportunities to get better. If they can find it, they will. So that's sort of the news. The reaction part today was that Kellen Moore when he met with reporters, this was his first opportunity to talk about Cam Jordan's addition after Cam signed a day ago. So Kellen has had pre-practice media availability. The Cam announcement and press conference came after Kellen's media availability on Tuesday. So Kellen was asked kind of point blank what having Cam back means to him this year.
Yeah, excitement. Obviously, guys in his situation have to go through a process during the off seasons to make the decisions that are best for them. And obviously we feel fortunate and excited that the opportunity presented itself and it was the right alignment as far as getting them back. And, I'm excited.
Okay. Kellen Moore continues to be the most boring soundbite in football. So sounds super pumped. Let's talk specifics about Cam's role, especially, remember, we talked about this a day ago. And we all wax poetic. I'm in that number. You are as well. Everyone's excited that Cam is back. He's going to finish his career in New Orleans. He's going to go in the Ring of Honor. He's going to go in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's going to play for one team his whole career, and that's awesome. And hopefully, in what is very likely his final season in the NFL, he has another productive season. They get back to the playoffs for the first time since the COVID year. Drew's last season in the NFL. That'd be awesome. What about snap count? When the Saints announced they're re-signing Cam, we kind of went through this a day ago. The last 2 seasons, Cam Jordan's snap count has been in the 500s when he was routinely double that number, meaning Cam has basically been playing 50% of the defensive snaps the last 2 years. He's a rotational piece. That's what he has become at this point in his career. So Kellen Moore was asked if that snap count is expected to be the same as last season.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be part of that rotation. I think to our advantage as a football team, we have added some depth in that group. That's going to be a benefit for us. And so what those numbers look like, hey, they're all going to contribute. They're all going to contribute, and that's an important aspect of this thing. And because of the versatility of these guys, I think you're going to be able to utilize more than just two of them at times when you want to in some third down situations, which is a positive thing for us. And Cam will continue to, carry a very valuable role with that.
We had Mike Triplett here a day ago, and Mike said it well and probably best. When you look at Chase Young, Carl Granderson, adding Tyree Wilson, Anthony Jennings, and now re-signing Cam, that's 5. Now, knock on for Micah, you don't want an injury, but an injury could rectify that. But aside from that, and you add Chris Rumpf to the mix as well, a little bit of an undersized, more of a 3-4 outside linebacker. All 6 of those guys aren't making the team. They're not all going to be on the active roster. So someone among that group isn't going to make this team. So Kellen was asked about Anthony Jennings, and the guy that was a top 10 pick in the draft, didn't have a great start to his career in Las Vegas with the Raiders, draft day trade to New Orleans, and sort of what stands out about Jennings.
Yeah, I think obviously strength, stoutness, physical play. I think he's got a really high IQ. You can tell he just processes the game in a very easy manner. I think what's cool is watching him just hop in there and try and find every opportunity he can to help this team. I think the special teams component is kind of cool. Talked about that with Tyree yesterday. These guys are just trying to find roles and find opportunities, which is great. And, he's played a whole bunch of games for a reason because he's a really consistent physical football player. I
love that. And that's probably the way Anthony Jennings and Tyree Wilson make this team. You have 2 young players. Jennings is 28 years, both guys in their 20s. Jennings is 28 years old. 2 guys that, despite their productivity already in the NFL, are both willing to play special teams and do whatever they have to do. Listen, Jennings came into the league in 2020. So now he missed the 21 season. So this is 7 years in the NFL, but this will be his 6th season because he missed 2021, but with injury. But this guy's played in 75 games already in his career, going into year 7 out in the NFL, 28 years old, and still willing to commit himself to special teams. You wonder if those are going to be the differentiators. I also look just at size and skill set, whereas when you look at Chase Young and Granderson and Cam Jordan, bigger 3-4 ends, Anthony Jennings is 6'2", 255, similar to Chris Rumpf. I kind of look at Jennings and Rumpf in that category and go, you're probably only keeping one of those guys. And Jennings' willingness to play special teams and the skins on the wall he has may very well give him a leg up. So keep an eye on that battle whenever training camp sort of gets underway. The one more from Kellen Moore about that edge rusher position, and he talked at length about Chase Young and the improvement that Chase Young has made. And it's sort of cliche to say, he gets better every day, but it's what Kellen Moore said. But it's true about Chase Young as a guy who came into the league as the number 2 overall pick, was the defensive rookie of the year, suffered an injury, bounced around, went to San Fran, came to the Saints, and last year had a double-digit sack season despite missing the first 5 games. Well, the question we all have is, what do you do for an encore?
Feel great about Chase. Feel like he's gotten better from my exposure being with him for the last year and a half now. Just the growth he's taken and just the preparation, the work ethic that he's shown through the offseason is really impressive. Like, this guy loves to work. He loves to work really hard. I think he's gotten better. You can see as the season went on, he just kept getting better. And I think this offseason has been a good indication of where he's going. The leadership that he's provided, the energy he provides, certainly. But he's just, he's looking like he's getting better each and every day.
By the way, Chase Young just made 27 years old in April. Remember, we were talking about Jennings, who's already 28. And they were the same draft class, by the way. in the COVID year. But Chase Young just turned 27 in April. So you're talking about a guy who is healthy. After the really disappointing 22 season in Washington where he played in just 3 games, he bounced back in 23, both in Washington and San Francisco, played in 16 games, played all 17 games his first year in New Orleans, and then last year played in a dozen games, missed the first 5 games with the calf strain, but after that played the rest of the season and had double-digit sacks. So can Chase Young stay healthy for 17 games and produce at the rate he has? If he can, then you're talking about a guy that should push between 15 and 20 sacks and is going to be in the running for All-Pro honors, if that's the case. So can he continue to improve? It's going to be fascinating to watch this Brandon Staley defense year 2, which, last season was very good against the pass, not as good against the run, 9th in total defense a season ago, which is a little surprising to say it. But can you build upon the progress you made a year ago here in year 2 with Staley? With it, look, you've lost a couple of guys, right? You lose Alontae Taylor, you lose DeMario Davis, but you've added some guys. We talked about Tyree Wilson, Cam Jordan's coming back. You're getting help at safety. You're moving Yonasenko to the star. So there's some shifts there. But can you get better year over year? And if that's the case, and you get better offensively year 2 under Tyler Shuck, I kind of get it. Again, I'm not pounding the table here today telling you I think the Saints are a contender. What I am telling you is I think the Saints improving both offensively and defensively can get into that 8-9 win range against this schedule. And if they do that, 8 wins won the division a year ago. You get to 9, I think that wins you your division this year. It gets you back in the playoffs. So I think it's a very attainable goal for these New Orleans Saints. All right, training camp will get started underway in late July. And when it does, we'll be covering it right here on AFR. Hey, we're brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com. Man, I love telling you about Arco Power Systems. I don't know if you've kept an eye on the weather, but we're expecting like a tropical event tonight in the overnight hours here in the Baton Rouge area and parts of South Louisiana. I know I've said it before. It bears repeating. When the storm's in the Gulf, it's too late to plan for a power outage. We think about it for our home. We get that home standby generator, but what about for your business? That's what Arco does. These are Generac industrial standby generators. For your office, industrial, commercial facility, it's Arco Power Systems. Everything's turnkey, great customer service, and it's obviously the security of the Generac brand. It's critical backup energy solutions for the industrial sector. No matter what type of business or commercial or industrial facility you have, if you need standby generator power for your business, you need Arco Power Systems. ARCCO. Arco.com, Arco.com, Arco.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here on a Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. We're going to knock out a quick break, come back. We will go around the SEC as we continue. Taylor Calandro here in about 15 minutes from right now for Bourbon Dictionaries. Get your booze questions in. Lane Kiffin was a guest on Tyrann Mathieu's podcast. We'll hit some of the highlights of that in about 30 minutes from right now. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
I've told you for years my experience working with Darren James. Let Jacques Juge, an AFR listener and Darren James customer, explain his experience with DJ.
So I had my house up for sale by owner for about a month. I listed it with a realtor, going on roughly a year, and I decided to give Darren a call. He told me he would run analysis and give me some feedback by the end of the night, which was a Friday night. I just told him, no hurry, just wait till next week. Don't take time away from his family. But before the end of the night, I had a text message from Darren with a 15-minute video explaining everything that he's seen on my property and what way he could go about with selling the home. So I got rid of the realtor I had, got Darren. Man, within a month, we had an offer on the table, and we just closed last Thursday.
Don't waste time. If you need to sell your home, call the best. Call Darren James. Agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Better coverage for less money. That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. LAinsurance.net. 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 That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. They're the best. They're going to shop to find you better coverage on your home, your auto, and I specifically want to hammer today business owners. Whatever type of business insurance you may be carrying, keep in mind when you look at your balance sheet and you look at that line item for your insurance, doesn't matter what you are. By the way, they crush it for restaurants. If you're a restaurant and haven't searched or had anyone shop for insurance coverage for you lately, chances are you're overpaying. Call Insurance Network of Louisiana. Let them shop to see if they can get you better coverage for less money. 293-0450, 293-0450, 293-0450, or LAinsurance.net, LAinsurance.net.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Hump Day AFR. Always appreciate our friends over at Insurance Network of Louisiana. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Excuse me. I just told you about Insurance Network of Louisiana. We're brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I was over at Goodwood yesterday. Man, I was picking up my my vial of BPC 157. That has been. I don't mean to be hyperbolic, y'all, and I don't love hyperbole. That has been life changing for me, man. If you deal with pain, injury, maybe you're having surgery. BPC 157 is a peptide. It's a pentadecapeptide. It's 15 different strands of amino acids, and it's designed to help with tissue repair, muscle recovery. So, like, if you've had surgery, man, get a vial of BPC 157, inject it in that surgical site. It will accelerate recovery. I do a tiny injection in my lower back every day, and it has been transformative. They got it at Goodwood, one of the dozens of peptides they have, in addition to ED, hormone replacement therapy, all the things they can do to help make you feel your best. Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. All right, it's After Further Review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Hump Day edition of AFR. Lane Kiffin was a guest on Tyrann Mathieu's podcast earlier today, and we're going to go deep dive into this here at the top of the hour. But one of the things is we started the show today. We told you about the two commitments that LSU has added. The running back, Trey Martin, out of Franklin Parish, and then the Chris Whitehead, the elite edge rusher commitment that LSU's added here. So that's two now top 50 overall prospects that are edge rushers. And we have talked, man, ad nauseum here on AFR, on my Locked On LSU podcast, about the way that they are approaching high school recruiting and just how it's changed now with the transfer portal. And that's one of the things they led off with Tyrann in this podcast.
Still, you want to build your core team through high school, especially when you're at a place like LSU and you can get the great players. And so you build it the old-fashioned way, and then you supplement through the portal. You don't want to not do any portal because you don't miss on those guys near as much. So follow this. In the NFL, they miss all the time, right? Right. And they have all that resources to evaluate them. They have all the college games, and you still miss. So we certainly know that we miss a lot in high school recruits over the years. Well, in the portal, you're going to miss less because now you've seen them in college games. You've seen them maybe if you're taking SEC guys, so you miss less. So you do still want some portal guys because normally those guys are pretty sure bets for the most part, like they're going to be what you see. Where high school, there's still so many variables.
It's so interesting because of the way he started. Can you just play the very beginning of that cut again, Muse, please?
Still, you want to build your core team through high school, especially when you're
like. I just don't know that I believe that's true. I mean, LSU signed 40 portal guys last year. Now, I don't think, again, they're going to go sign 40 again this year. But I think what they're doing in building their foundation is getting portal guys who will come and wait. Instead of getting an 18-year-old, they're more likely to go. And I've given you a lot of the same examples, but look at guys like William Satterwhite from Tennessee, Darren Stray, an offensive lineman from Kentucky. Look at all the receivers. A guy like Tyree Holloway coming in from West Florida. I just mentioned all the running backs. You brought in 4 running backs, all with multiple years of eligibility. All the guys, the offensive line, Jacoby Jones, all the guys that they've brought in. it's guys that aren't necessarily one-year mercenaries like a year ago with LSU's football portal class. You have those guys. Look, Jordan Seaton's a mercenary. Prince William Mielon's a mercenary. He's a one-year guy. You paid top dollar, elite-level player, but you're only going to get a few of those. Ty Benefield, one-year guys. The majority of what they added, their 42 portal additions, are guys with multiple years of eligibility that are going to build the foundation of the class. That may change over time. We'll see. But it's fascinating anytime we have the opportunity to listen to Lane Kiffin talk about how he wants to build his roster. So really interesting there. We're going to dive more into this again in about 20 minutes or so. Kiffin sat down on the In the Bayou podcast with Tyrann Mathieu. We'll dive into a lot of that throughout the rest of the show. Taylor Calandro's coming up here in less than 10 minutes from right now. We'll do a little Bourbon Dictionary, get your booze questions in. All right, right now, let's do it. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference. The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Hogs added an elite infielder, Ben Cleary from Santa Clara. He's picked the Hogs. He was second team All West Coast Conference this season at a .952 fielding percentage. 9 errors, not so great. 9th commit for Arkansas's portal class.
The Florida Gators.
All-American Trey Morris has committed to Florida. He's an Oregon State lefty. That's one of the guys, man, you would have loved to have had if you're LSU. Third top 50 portal commitment for the Gators. Morris was first team All-American by the Baseball Writers Association and Perfect Game. Led the nation with a .83 whip.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Freshman All-American Josiah Overbeek has picked Mississippi State. 45 starts this year, 15 out of the bullpen for 45 out of the bullpen for Army. So he's going from Army to Mississippi State, impressive production on the mound, 5.57 ERA in addition to what he did at the plate, hitting .314 with 17 homers.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
GM Jim Nagy has gotten a new multi-million-dollar contract from the OU Board of Regents. Wild to think, man. Sitting there all those years at SEC football media days with Jim Nagy talking with us about the Senior Bowl. Now he's $1 million a year GM for Oklahoma football. And look, they made the college football playoff in his first year there in the front office. Jim Nagy, contract extension, averaging, it's a 4-year deal at $4.6 million over the 4 years.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
3-star defensive lineman Antoine McCoy has picked Georgia. He is a top 50 defensive lineman, the 16th best player out of the state of North Carolina, committed to Georgia over South Carolina, NC State, Miami, and Virginia Tech.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
And 3-star offensive lineman Clayton Lee has picked South Carolina. He's out of Florida. He took an official visit to the Gamecocks this past weekend and committed over offers from Virginia Tech, Central Florida, and NC State. 6'7", 305, the 64th best offensive tackle in the country, the 9th commit for Shane Beamer's Gamecocks. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We are brought to you by Supper Club. Y'all, it's a hump day. Don't go home after work. Man, why would you do that? Don't go home after work. Call your wife. Call your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, whoever it is, business partner, doesn't matter. Say, hey, meet me at Supper Club. Don't have a reservation, no big deal. Open seating at the bar every day, even on weekends. 14 bar stools, 7 bar tables. You can always just pop on in, eat a meal at the bar. I've done that before. 6 weeks ago or so, I was at a fundraiser with Erica. After the fundraiser ended, we weren't really trying to do the pick at the little sort of the heavy hors d'oeuvres. So we went to the fundraiser and we're looking for a meal. And so we left, went to Supper Club, and we sat at the bar. I ordered a steak. She had her whatever delicious cocktail on the menu, summary cocktail that she likes to drink out of whiskey. And you can always go for a great experience at Supper Club where you're sitting at the bar, you're celebrating something, have a great semicircular booth. There's also the private dining room there at Supper Club. Call in advance, you can reserve it. We did that for my birthday a few years ago. Me, Eric, our extended families, they had about 15 people in the private dining room. It was awesome. Way to go celebrate a birthday, a graduation, an anniversary, any occasion. Make sure you do it at Supper Club. SupperClubBTR.com. SupperClubBTR.com for your reservation. SupperClubBTR.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad you're hanging out with us here. Taylor Calandro, get your booze questions in for Bourbon Dictionary. We'll revisit some of what Lane Kiffin had to say on the Tyrann Mathieu podcast. Also, the baseball Tigers have added a pitching commitment. We'll get to that here in about 30 minutes from right now. Ross Jackson next hour was at Saints mandatory minicamp the last 2 days. We'll get his takeaway, so really looking forward to that. Oh, and LSU running back commit Trey Segura coming up in hour 3. Like I said, we are locked, loaded, ton to do, and glad you're here. Stick around. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
Major congratulations to our friends at Duplessis Builders, who we found out over the weekend, yet again, by Pool and Spa Magazine, named a top 50 pool builder in America. Now, we're going to wait and see what the exact ranking is. A year ago, there were 26 in the country. But again, for the second consecutive year, Duplessis Builders named a top 50 pool builder in America. You know, my cousin has a story that I'm sure many of you can relate to if you've ever built a pool. At 2 different houses, he's hired a pool builder to build a pool, and it was a miserable experience. It's very invasive. I mean, they're digging a giant hole in your yard. It rains. It can be delayed. There's a lot of reasons why building a pool and putting in a pool is not an enjoyable experience. It is very invasive. And so many people have that horror story to tell. With Duplessis, the reason they continue winning these awards is because not only will they build you a beautiful pool that lasts, they give exceptional customer service as well. DuplessisPools.com.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. They're the gang with the slang.
Keep it 100. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is Bourbon Dictionary with Matt Moscona and Taylor Calandro.
I don't understand.
Yo, dude, what up?
Not much, man. What's happening?
Another day, another dollar, dog. What's good, man? What's 4th of July's coming up? What's new?
We got a new little heater. Sorry, Croatia just scored a goal. Sorry, I got totally sidetracked.
Oh my God! All right.
Old Fitz, 7-year bottled in bond. So, like the past few years, we've been getting the Old Fitzgerald, the big bottles, like the 11-year, the ones they do in the spring, in
raffle
the
bottles.
Yeah. And they're still super limited, and those are generally like, I think they're 11-year. I can't remember I think they're a little different from release to release, but they do those in the spring and the fall. This is supposed to be a year-round deal. They're hard to find right now, but eventually I think they'll be a little easier. But it's only $60. It's really good. And it comes in a nice looking bottle too. It's not like a cool decanter like the high end stuff comes in, but it's still a nice looking bottle for a $60 bourbon. It's really good.
How old is it?
7 years, $60. It's fairly young, but it's nice. I tried some a week or two ago. It's a nice pour. It's not super expensive either.
You know what, man? I'll tell you, Taylor. I've been fortunate enough to try, as have you, right? But I've tried a lot of the Old Fitz, and for me, I've done a taste test of a flight, and I was in New Orleans at help me, what's the hotel on St. Charles, the old hotel? It's got
Pontchartrain.
What's the hotel? At Jack Rose.
Jack Rose, and then Hot 10 upstairs.
So it wasn't Hot 10, but the bar in the front had a bunch of Old Fitz, so I did a flight of them. And the 9-year, in my opinion, was better than the 11, the 13, all the older ones. And I have a bottle of the 8-year at my house, so I'm not scared of that 7-year. I think that may actually be pretty awesome.
It's really good. Have you had Larceny Barrel Proof?
Yeah, of course.
So it's the same mash bill as Larceny.
Okay.
And it's similar age, but Larceny Barrel Proof runs like 125, 130 proof, and this is sitting at 100. So it's a little less heat, and it's nice. It's a nice, approachable little whiskey. It's not going to blow you away, but for $60, it's a really good little sipper. Shout
out Alex Abair, who said, Matt, the 7-year Fitz is so good. By the way, he also sent me a photo of his 4-pack of Saints and Sinners. That's the St. Arnold
beer we talked about last week.
The collab you talked about with Parrish last week. That's awesome.
Speaking of, they're doing a pint night over at Pelican to Mars, that little bar on Government Street, right by the studio too. Actually, a little pint night for the two beers from Parrish tonight.
Interesting you said that. I was literally, I had to go to Lafayette today and drove back, and Chris Marler went with me, and he mentioned he was watching like the soccer match. The Team USA I never knew that place was in existence.
Pelican the Bars.
Yeah, so second time in 3 hours someone's mentioned that place. I never heard of it before.
Yeah, I actually think they're doing a bunch for the World Cup over there. I've never been, man. I'm old like you, so.
I know. I'm older than you, dog. I'm 10 years older than you, man.
Well, right. But I'm still old. I'm 37 years old. And I have 3 young kids. I'm not hanging out at the bars. I'm not really in the scene, you know. So
I'll be 44 in a few weeks.
I don't even know how you can continue onward.
I feel awesome, bro. Hey, real quick, Greg Lehman asked Taylor, there's a lot of buzz about younger generations not drinking nearly as much. Are you observing a similar trend in alcohol consumption and sales?
Yes, absolutely, 110%. The younger generation is weird.
Weirdos. Start drinking, weirdos. Muse, you weirdo. Why aren't you drinking? You weirdo?
that doesn't count for me.
They're really into health and
weirdos
and like taking care of themselves, I guess, and finding other avenues to get to where they'd like to be.
I got 5 seconds. I gotta go. We'll see you.
See you, man.
Taylor Calandro from Calandros. Y'all have a great day over there.
After further review.
Weirdos. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen. You want to take care of yourself in your car? Drive a Volkswagen. That's what you do. You want to know why? Because if you get in a wreck, you're driving one of the safest vehicles on the road. Love telling you about Volkswagen every single day. Airline just north of Highland, southpointVW.com. Remember, if you're in Lafayette, Southwest Volkswagen, same ownership group, but South Point Volkswagen here in Baton Rouge is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. So even if you live outside of Baton Rouge and you're listening, you're interested in the Volkswagen, it is really worth shopping the website, because like, what if they can give you a better deal? Like they move more volume, meaning they got more selection and better pricing. So if they can give you a better deal, is it worth maybe popping over to BR, Airline just north of Highland, to go get your vehicle? Sure it is. It's at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Airline just north of Highland, or online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction?